I had been unconscious at home alone for more than 2 hours. When I finally woke up, I hurriedly called Amanda. Before I could even speak, her decisive voice came through the receiver. The reporters are making things up. Don't take it seriously. Come home and explain. I stared blankly at the phone after she hung up. Only a few minutes later did it hit me to check the news. There was no need to search, she was already trending. Amanda's husband makes AJ's first public appearance. A family of 3 enjoys a sweet outing. The photo showed Amanda holding Andrew in one arm while holding hands with a handsome man beside her. I let out a bitter smile. If they were a family of 3, if he was Amanda's husband, then what was I the man who was her husband in the eyes of the lawsuit said to be chaptered in the phone slip from my apartment hit the floor, and only then did I realize I was still lying on the ground. I sat up abruptly and my head spinning. I picked up the phone and glanced at the time. Only then did I fully realize I had really been unconscious for over 2 hours. I figured it was probably hypoglycemia. I think it happened before it nearly collapsed because of low blood sugar. Right now what I needed most was a piece of candy, something to eat. I immediately lifted my foot and hid it out of the study. Clutter, a soft sound rang out. I looked down to see the airplane model, its paint assembling crushed under my foot. I had no energy to care. I kept walking towards the living room. After eating a milk candy and a piece of bread, I finally felt like it come back to life. Leaning against the sofa, I sat there in a daze for more than 10 minutes before picking up my phone again. I opened that trending article and discovered there was even a video attached. Without hesitation, I tapped play. The secretly filmed footage showed a family of 3 enjoying a sweet day out. The family CEO of the Han Group and her family. They rode the Ferris wheel together, watched a circus performance together, and played frisbee together. In the comments, netizens marveled at how the art president's family was leaning up for attractions just like everyone else. Out of the footage isn't very clear, I could still recognize at a glance who the man mistaken for her husband was. Amanda in long time crush Sebastian. The video continued to play. When Sebastian scooped a spoonful of the ice cream he was eating and held it out to and Andrew ate it without the slightest hesitation, I froze. The next second, Sebastian kissed him on the cheek. My son, the one who never lets me kiss him, smiled brightly and kissed him back. A sharp stabbing pain tore through my chest, forcing me to bend over. Tears slid down my face without warning. All of a sudden, I felt like everything it held onto all these years was nothing but a joke. Chapter 2. When Andrew was still too young to understand anything, I'd soon help kissing his chubby cheeks all the time. But after he turned a little over two, he stopped letting me kiss him. Whenever I tried, he would push me away with all his strength. After that, he would even grab a tissue and carefully wipe the spot I had kissed. "Why won't you let Daddy kiss you?" I asked him. "Saliva isn't hygienic," he said seriously in his soft, childish voice. And he never ate anything I had already eaten either. If I handed him a piece of fruit I had taken a bit from, he would push it away in disgust. Frowning, he would say dirty. Back then, the sight of H.'s round little face, lips pierced as he said such words, he restrained the adorable contrast to E.T. I.T. was unbelievably cute. Out I felt a little uncomfortable. Inside I had to admit he was right. I.T. really wasn't hygienic. I even felt proud that my baby was smart and full of cleanliness from such a young age. Able to hold himself to strict standards despite being so little truly worthy of being H.'s mama's son. That serious expression of Iris looked as if he had been molded from the same template as H.'s mama's. I loved H.'s mommy so much, how could I possibly not love him, so I respected H.'s wishes. I stopped kissing him and stopped feeding him food I had already eaten. After he turned 3 at H.'s insistence, I rarely even held him anymore. I thought this was simply H.'s personality. Just like H.'s mommy, he was naturally aloof, instinctively distant from the people around him. I understood and respected that. However, after watching the video today, I finally understood that such child aloofness was simply selective. Chapter 3. Amanda, who was always reserved and unsmiling, turned out to be capable of smiling. And smiling so brightly. The son I thought had a clean line as a best son turned out to be able to eat food others had eaten and kiss others on the cheek. All these years, no matter how hard I tried, I had never received from either of them the kind of treatment Sebastian got so effortlessly. I had to admit that whether as a husband or as a father, I had failed pretty badly. In an instant, all the dry in my body seemed to be drained away. An unprecedented sense of exhaustion washed over me like a tide. I stared numbly at the ceiling. Forget IT. Give up. Unnecessary effort is just too tiring. My ability is limited. My energy is finite. This is as far as I can go. Amanda, running toward you is too hard. I don't want to persist anymore. After zoning out for a while longer, it suddenly occurred to me that I should go to the hospital. I'd been feeling easily fatigued lately, and today I had even passed out at home. I was playing happily, thinking about it felt bleak. For the first time I felt that I truly wasn't worth it. From now on I would treat myself a little better. I would stop being a big fool who gave everything to others while neglecting himself. I went to the most famous private hospital in the city, spent a hefty sum to use the VPChinal and underwent a comprehensive medical examination. The doctor said all the results would be out within 2 hours. While waiting in the hospital's VIP lounge, I received a WHT free entry request. I tapped into the profile picture was Sebastian's face warm and radiant like a spring breeze. I accepted his request. A few minutes later he sent me a voice message. I tapped it and heard a conversation that made my heart turn cold. Andrew, you came to keep Uncle company on his birthday today. If Daddy gets mad at you, Uncle will explain it for you. That was Sebastian's voice. Don't worry, Uncle. He does not set my son Andrew. At 4 years old, which his childish lisp had not yet completely faded. It's Saturday today. Didn't you want to spend time playing with you, Sebastian asked again. I told him to help me bootlegger. He doesn't have time to go out. Didn't you do this on purpose just so you could come out and celebrate Uncle's birthday without worrying him? I lied to him and said it was homework assigned by the teacher. That Lega said is really hard enough to keep him busy all day. Our Andrew is so smart to come up with something like that. Your so thoughtful Uncle is really touched and there was not a smack sound, probably not a kiss on the cheek. Even though I was set disappointment, hearing this conversation still hurt me all over again. How could such a cold killer's heart come from a voice that was still so childlike? I thought back to this morning. Like every other Saturday, I had gone into the old house with a light, eager heart to pick Andrew up for the weekend. He had shoved a big bag straight into my arms. This is weekend homework assigned by the teacher. It's really hard. Daddy, can you help me boot it? Andrew really showed weakness in front of me. I foreseeably interpreted that really hard as him acting spoiled. So even though I felt a little regret at not being able to take him out to play, being needed like that filled me with a sense of flattered satisfaction. Standing nearby, Amanda said expressionlessly, "Then stay home today and help Andrew bootlegger." I took him to the company. I had really wanted to say that it was fine I could bootleg at home while taking care of him. But after years of habitually obeying Amanda, I still couldn't bring myself to speak. I silently watched the matter and soon left forget. Now I finally knew. It had all been lies. Chapter 4 my son set my love for him, making the excuse that he needed me to help him bootleg just to keep me trapped at home. And my wife took our son to meet the man she had been secretly in love with 4 years her child idol. In this family I had always been an outsider. The moment I finally recognized my place, I truly woke up. Fortunately, when the test results came out, the doctor told me there was nothing seriously wrong with my body, just long-term lack of rest, leaving me in a state of exhaustion. You fainted today because you skipped lunch and 3 with a the doctor reminded me. Make sure you rest, well eat properly and keep your nutrition up. I nodded repeatedly. Forgetting to eat lunch because I was busy building Lego such a stupid mistake I would never make it again. From now on, nothing was more important than my own health. On the way home from the hospital, Sebastian sent me another text message. You know very well who Amanda loves. I'm back now. If you forgot anything, say get lost early. I took a word swiftly. Did Amanda know that her Drew would say something this crude at him? Sebastian was determined to get Amanda this time. I didn't know whether it was because going through a marriage made him realize how good Amanda was to him or because he had genuinely fallen in love with her. After all in the past, when faced with Amanda's desperate plea, Sebastian had been able to leave the country without looking back. On the day he got married overseas, when Amanda flew there overnight to Chiaruai to stop the wedding, he still rejected her without the slightest change in expression. To him, Amanda had never been his first choice. Erroneous circumstances forced his hint, and Amanda became his best option. It was Amanda's love that made him so fearless. Indeed, ever since he returned to the country over a month ago, Amanda had been coming home later and less often. Her heart had already begun to drift away. In effect, her heart had always been with him. That was why Sebastian could provoke me so stubbornly. I didn't reply to HAS message. I was tired. I didn't want to waste even a shred of energy on their affairs. Right now all I wanted was to leave as soon as possible and put an end to this mistaken marriage. When I was almost home, I stopped by a small private kitchen restaurant, ordered a food dishes and ate slowly and carefully. I put the duster's words to heart and ate properly. By the time I got home, it was already past 7. I lay on the sofa watching TV. As the sky gradually darkened and I was about to get up to take a shower, I heard movement at the front door. Amanda appeared in the doorway holding a dress hand. Chip the pat as Amanda walked into the house about her temples and said to me, "Make some hingav soup." I drank a bitter night and my stomach fills. Relationship like this, a marriage like this was indeed a failure. Noticing that I was still sitting on the sofa, without moving, Amanda frowned. Here optic. In the past, when faced with her impatient expression, I would instinctively feel tense. But today I found myself unusually calm. There is nothing in the fridge. I can't make IT, I replied flatly. Amanda, who had just sat down, froze for a moment, clearly not expecting me to refuse her. She straightened up and looked at me. Are you angry about what happened today? I'm not. Before I could finish and you caught me off. He had run straight into the study after coming in and was now running back out. Why didn't you finish building a my leg? He demanded, holding a broken airplane wing and glaring at me angrily. I looked at him calmly. You a teacher didn't resign this homework, did they? But, and you pressed his lips together, just stone righteous. But I really wanted this airplane to be finished, so you lied to me, I said, evenly without anger. You lied to get me to help you both legs so you could go celebrate your uncle Sebastian's birthday without me getting in the way. Who told you to cling to me every weekend? Being with you isn't fun at all, and the Ercus pointing at me. I let out a bleak smile. Is it because being with me isn't fun, or because you simply don't like me and you beat each asleep and said nothing? This was my own flesh and blood. There were still traces of me in each brows and eyes. During the first 6 months after he was born, I would often stare at him and grin like an idiot. It poke his chubby cheeks with my finger and think how can my baby business could I possibly not love him, but the son of mine was too hard to please. Maybe it was because he wasn't breastfeeding and he was taken back to the old house and raised by his maternal grandparents. So he had never been close to me. Every weekend after I brought him home, I would rack my brain trying to make him happy. But he never bought into IT. I suggested going to the amusement park, he refused. I suggested staying home to play games together, he refused that too. Faced with a son who was completely impervious, I was often a day louse. The way we interacted most often was simply staying at home in silence. I prepared fruit and cooked meals for him while he stayed in the studio watching cartoons, reading page storybooks, or playing with building blocks. At such a young age, he was already highly self-disciplined, 15 minutes of cartoons a day, never 1 minute more. He also studied characters and numbers on HES on. And his grandparents had hired tutors for every subject and various interest classes ranging his learning and hobbies in a structured way. He didn't need any guidance from me at all. Sometimes when I saw him doing arithmetic problems, I told him that he could ask Daddy if he didn't understand. Without even looking up, he said no need. My math teacher will teach me. Now I finally understood. Because he didn't like me as his father, he didn't want to be with me. He didn't want any interaction with me at all. For the first time I realized that perhaps we were destined to have a shell of father-son bond. Something simply can't be forced. Chapter 6, maybe it was the first time I had spoken to Andrew in a tone that wasn't trying to please him. He didn't react right through, just stared up at me blankly. Amanda pulled our son over her expression darkening as she pointed at me and scolded, "You're taking your anger over our Suez out on him. Don't you think that's too much? Is only 4 years old. I'm not taking Katie out on him. I'm just stating facts." Perhaps noticing that my attitude was different from before, Amanda let out a sigh. "I told you not to take that news to heart. I handle IT. I all sat on the phone that it explained when I got back. I nodded and replied calmly, all right. Explain. I'm listening. Sebastian and I grew up together. He recently divorced and came back to the country. As a friend, I was worried he might be in a bad state of mind, so I spent more time with him. That's no crossing a line, is it? Besides, today was his birthday. Andrew and I just accompanied him to the amusement park for the day. Is that really something you need to be upset about? Then what about today's news, I asked. How do you plan to handle it since we got married you when you were put in front of the media? The public doesn't know what you look like. And my plan is to let this new school spend some money to pull it out the trending list. After a while, you push some more entertainment news. Netizens are fickle, they like novelty. Their attention will shift quickly and no one will remember such a small matter. Amanda didn't love me. I had always known that. This past years I had relied on nothing but reckless persistence, foolishly hoping to warm her heart to stone. But I hadn't expected that in her as I was as insignificant. And my own wife and son trending with another man being called a family of 3. In her view I wasn't even qualified to have an erpingen. In effect, I was expected to cooperate with her and tacitly allow the outside word to Erasum Sebastian was her husband. Perhaps to her having the patience to explain all this to me already couldn't I think me now respect. Any further dissatisfaction on my part would simply mean I was being unreasonable. But it had enough of being the virtuous obedient husband. Today I didn't want to be reasonable anymore. When Andrew suddenly shouted from the side, Drouwer said that way Uncle Sebastian can be did. Uncle Sebastian graduated from a top university. He knows everything astronomy, geography and can help me with my homework. Is the one who deserves to be that I thought to myself I graduated from a top university in this country too. You don't even have the patience to talk to me. How can you be so sure I don't know astronomy or geography or that I can't help you with your studies? Forget IT. Since I already decided to live there, was no point explaining any of this. I smiled. All right. I think it's more suitable to be your father too. I wish you all a happy life together. Aloch, Amanda's face darkened. If you keep this up, he'll be no way back. I looked at the person in front of me and began to doubt myself. The woman I had loved there for so many years, I seemed not to truly understand her after all. Perhaps whenever I involved with Sebastian, she lost all sense of principle and rationality. Amanda Han, I called her by her full name as well. You have a professional legal team. Leave the divorce agreement to term. Think about it, if the divorce is actually the most beneficial option for you, right? Now isn't it solves the necessary and lets you get what you want, marrying the love of your life. Your parents and your son like him more too. One move, multiple gains. Isn't that good? Amanda Han stood up. You're speaking out of anger. I understand your lack of restraint. Let's talk again after you come down. With that she took Andrew as a hint and left. As for the trending news, it really did play out exactly as she said, handled with a cold treatment. The trending topic disappeared without a sound. The news about the Han Group CEO taking a family of 3 on an outing quickly lost heat. From start to finish, the group's official account never said a word. All parties involved there remained silent. But everyone knew Daniel was a tacit admission. Which meant the Han Group had effectively acknowledged that such a family of 3. And I felt no emotional reaction at all. I simply waited quietly for Amanda's divorce agreement. But 3 days passed and there was no movement on her side. When I called, it was always her assistant who answered. In a strict professional tone, they told me Sir President Han isn't available to take calls right now. As for when she'll be free, I'm not sure. By the 4th day I still couldn't reach Amanda Han. I sent her a text directly. If I don't see the divorce agreement soon, I hold a press conference in the name of your husband. Her call came back almost immediately. Let's talk after I get home from work. That evening Amanda still didn't bring back a divorce agreement. She seemed convinced that I was just trying a tantrum. In an impatient tone she said this matter is already over. Stop making a fuss. I genuinely don't understand. I looked up at her. You clearly like Sebastian. Why don't you just divorce me and marry him? If I divorce you the moment he comes back to the country, what would people in our circle say about him? I suddenly understood. So you don't want him to carry the bad reputation of being a hamrik. Before she could speak, I continued, but that's not my concern. All I want right now is a divorce. Whether HA's reputation is good or bad has nothing to do with me. There is a limit to being willful, Amanda said coldly. Once I truly agree to divorce, there will be no room for regret. Amanda, let me say this one more time. I am not trying a tantrum. If I don't see the divorce agreement before 9 tonight, I register your accounts with my media outlets and publicly known that I'm the legal husband and that Sebastian is just a destroyer of someone else's marriage. Fine, she snapped in anger. I call right now and have the lawyers draft the agreement and send it over immediately. Don't regret att titeln hurry up I heard det. Andu is a my child. I don't give him to you did. He doesn't like me anyway. Even if I wanted him he wouldn't convince me I said with better self much cure. Chipta say more than 2 hours later the law really did arrive at the door with the agreement. I glanced through IT. Andres custody was granted to Amanda, and I was given visitation rights. What surprised me was that Amanda was fairly generous to me. Back when we got married at her parents' insistence, we had signed a prenuptial agreement. The Han family assets had nothing to do with me. I had already prepared myself to live with nothing. Even so, Amanda still allocated me a portion of property that was to me quite substantial. I didn't dwell on it. I picked up the pen and signed my name immediately. She even generously gave me the marital home we had been living in. So after signing the agreement, I said to her, "Tomorrow you go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to register. You can leave now." At the moment she closed the door, Amanda said with a stiff face, "I won't indulge your willfulness. You should pay the price for your nonsense." Even now she still firmly believed that my insistence on divorce was just a tantrum. She was still threatening me, pushing the idea that if I kept this up there would truly be no turning back. But what she didn't know was that once I decided to divorce, I had never intended to turn back. The next day we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau and completed the registration. For an entire month after that, Amanda and I never saw each other again. On the weekend, as usual, I went to pick up Andrew. He asked me, "Are you really going to divorce Mama?" And I did. The joy on each face was impossible to hide, and I no longer felt hurt by why.